closing is one of the most neglected parts of delivering a presentation. We were told we need to start strong and powerfully, and that's why we may put plenty of time and thought into our introduction and the body of the presentation, and we don't plan our closing. But the truth is, closing strong is equally important. Your closing is the last thing that your audience remembers about you. When it comes to closing a speech or presentation, most speakers will end with "Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me today," and some other variations. If you tend to close by just saying that, you won't create a lasting impression. So today, I will share with you tips on how you can close your speech or presentation with not just "thank you," but in a memorable way. Are you excited? Are you ready for that game changer? I hope you are. So, let's go! To conclude your speech in a strong and polished manner, I recommend including these 3 elements in your conclusion. Elements are a signal to the end of your presentation. 2, a restatement of key points. 3, a concluding device. Before you end your presentation, the first element that you need is the signal to indicate the end of your presentation. You have to let your audience know you are wrapping up. That's why most speakers would say to bring this to a close, or in conclusion, or in summary. It can sound a little stiff and rigid, but your audience will be reassured that you are ending in an obvious and organized manner. You can of course use whichever appropriate concluding phrase that you want to, that fits your style. But you have to signal to your audience that you are about to end your speech. The second element to include in your closing or conclusion is a restatement of key points of your speech. This also means summarizing and reiterating the main points of your presentation. You have to remember that the goal of your conclusion is to sum up your speech by coming back to your main points to encourage audience retention and understanding. So when you restate your main points in the conclusion, you increase the likelihood that your audience will understand and retain your main points after the speech or presentation is over. This is a great way to ensure that your main points are delivered effectively and that your audience understands the message you are trying to get across. Coming next is the third element you should have in your closing or conclusion. I'll be back!
Element of a powerful closing and conclusion is a concluding device. A concluding device is the final thought you want your audience to have when you stop speaking. Most importantly, it provides a definitive sense of closure to your speech. Now, what does it mean to have a concluding device? Having a concluding device simply means you deciding the type of conclusion to use in your speech or presentation. Similar to getting attention. In the beginning of the presentation or speech, there are different types of conclusions and a number of ways to make your conclusion strong and memorable. In this video, I will focus on 4 types of conclusion. One type of conclusion is called the challenge close. This means you end your speech with a challenge. A challenge is a call to engage the audience in some kind of activity that requires a special effort. For instance, in a speech about encouraging audience to try or adopt a plant-based diet, you could challenge them to choose one day in a week to eat only plant-based meals. In doing so, audience are asked to go out of their way to do something different that involves effort on their part. The challenge, however, must be reasonable. The challenge should be something your audience can strive for and not see as something impossible. The other type of conclusion involves you ending your speech by using an impactful quote relevant to your topic. Your quote will be more effective if it comes from a person well known by your audience. For example, in a speech emphasizing on the importance of good manners, you can share the legendary quote, "Manners maketh man," from the iconic movie Kingsman. Another type of conclusion is to end your speech by asking your audience a rhetorical question or a series of rhetorical questions. Doing this may force the audience to ponder an idea. To illustrate, let's say you are giving a speech on the importance of preserving the environment. So, you may end this speech by saying this: children's future? What kind of world do you want them raised in? A world that is clean, vibrant, and beautiful? Or one that is filled with smoke, pollution, filth, and disease? In this example, you are not actually asking the audience to verbally shout out an answer to the question. The aim of asking the questions is to force the audience into thinking about what kind of world they want for their children. The fourth type of conclusion involves you connecting your ending back to your opening. For example, if you started with an interesting statistic, go back to that interesting statistic. If you started with a you-focused question, revisit that you-focused question. If you started with a story or an anecdote, remind your audience about the story you told them in the beginning. I'll be right back. So, these are the 4 types of conclusion you can use to end your speech or presentation in a solid and compelling manner. Too often, we put plenty of time and thought into our introduction and body of presentation that we run out of time in delivering a closing with a bang. Isn't it a shame to have to put so much work into your presentation only to leave your audience feeling disappointed by your unremarkable and, as a polished presenter, you want your audience to remember you being in control of yourself, your content, your time to the very end. You also want your audience to remember what you said and what you want them to do without any confusion. And lastly, remember, a great conclusion not only recaps the main points of your presentation, speech, but brings the topic to a natural, satisfying close and lets the audience know that once and for all, you are done. So, deliver the end of your speech with power, polish, and a positive tone so that your audience will feel positive about you and your message. Good luck and ta-ra!